On December 19, 2001, in the quiet coastal town of Waldport, Oregon, a young boy, approximately 5 years old, was found floating face up beneath a bridge, wearing only underwear. The child showed no visible injuries, and strangely, no missing person report matched his description. Police immediately launched an investigation, creating sketches for media distribution. Initially, they theorized a possible car accident. Perhaps a vehicle had plunged from the bridge, but searches revealed nothing supporting this. As divers explored the surrounding waters, a chilling revelation emerged. This area had recently witnessed multiple tragedies, earning it the grim nickname, the Cursed Zone. Just 3 days later, on December 22nd, divers uncovered the body of a little girl, approximately 3 years old, bound at the legs with a pillowcase filled with stones. This horrifying detail suggested the boy had been similarly restrained before the weights came loose. What initially appeared to be an accident now revealed itself as something far more sinister. A breakthrough came when a former babysitter identified the boy as Zachary Longo, age 4. When authorities investigated further, they discovered the entire Longo family had vanished. Christian, 27, Mary Jane, 34, and their 3 children, Madison, 2, Sydney, 3, and Zachary, 4. Previously residing in Michigan, the family had mysteriously relocated to Oregon, some 3,200 miles away. Investigators uncovered that the Longos had been renting an apartment near the bridge. A search yielded family photos, clothing, Mary Jane's driver's license, and children's toys, many discarded in a trash bin. According to the building manager, Christian had mentioned on December 16th that they were flying to Michigan. No one had seen them since. As authorities intensified their search, divers discovered 2 submerged suitcases on December 27th. Inside lay the bodies of Mary Jane and little Madison, both strangled before being submerged. The evidence increasingly pointed toward Christian Longo, who had vanished without a trace. A witness reported seeing a red minivan near the bridge around 4:30 a.m. on December 17th, driven by a man resembling Christian. Though he had no history of violence, his record included fraud, theft, and forgery charges. When investigators learned he had applied for a job in San Francisco under his real name, they dispatched officers to watch him, but he never appeared. On January 12, 2002, America's Most Wanted featured Christian's case with a $50,000 reward. That same day, a Canadian tourist reported seeing him in Cancun, Mexico, where he had introduced himself as both Brad and Mike. The FBI arrested him near Cancun on January 13th, and he voluntarily returned to the United States. Christian Longo was born in 1974 into a modest, religious family. At 19, he fell for Mary Jane, a 25-year-old woman from his synagogue. Their relationship began with deception. Christian stole money from his workplace to buy her an engagement ring, then left a check for the stolen amount and resigned. Despite the scandal, Mary Jane stood by him. After marriage, Christian's career flourished at a New York Times distribution company. The couple had 3 children and lived lavishly. However, in 1999, he left his secure position to start a construction cleaning business that quickly failed. Drowning in debt, he hid his financial troubles from everyone, including his wife. He even defrauded his father out of thousands of dollars and forged checks from former clients. In May 2000, Mary Jane discovered Christian's emails to another woman. When confronted, he coldly admitted his feelings had changed. Shortly after, he was arrested for check forgery and sentenced to probation with a fine he couldn't pay. His religious community expelled him, and his reputation crumbled. Desperate, he stole his father's identity to obtain a credit card, accumulating over $100,000 in debt. By December 2001, The family was living in an Oregon hotel, with Christian working a low-paying cafe job. According to his later account, on December 17th, following an argument about their financial situation, Mary Jane locked herself in their bedroom. Christian claimed he later found her sobbing, with Madison asleep beside her. He alleged Mary Jane had already killed Zachary and Sydney, throwing them into the water to spare them from poverty, and had then attempted to kill herself. In a rage, Christian strangled Mary Jane, and upon discovering Madison was still alive, killed her as well, claiming he couldn't bear for her to live without her mother and siblings. He placed their bodies in weighted suitcases and disposed of them in the water. Forensic evidence, however, contradicted his story. The medical examiner confirmed Zachary and Sydney were still alive when submerged. After committing these heinous acts, Christian behaved as if nothing had happened, attending a gym, participating in a cafe party, and even giving his wife's perfume to a female co-worker. When news broke about his son's body, Christian fled to San Francisco, then to Mexico. In Cancun, he lived in a beachside shack, socialized with tourists, and became involved with a German photographer. He assumed the identity of Michael Finkel, a real New York Times journalist, claiming to be traveling the world for stories. While imprisoned, Christian contacted the real Michael Finkel. A strange relationship developed, with Finkel visiting him weekly. Christian promised to reveal the truth while Finkel planned to publish his story. As their conversations continued, Finkel noticed inconsistencies in Christian's account. At trial, the prosecution argued that Christian, overwhelmed by debt, viewed his family as a burden. He had even disposed of all their belongings and told colleagues Mary Jane had abandoned him. The defense noted the different disposal methods for the bodies and claimed there was no direct evidence linking Christian to all the murders. Christian maintained his bizarre story, but the prosecutor questioned how Mary Jane could have single-handedly restrained 2 children and thrown them off a bridge. Damning evidence from Christian's computer showed searches for killing law enforcement officers, altering identity, and disappearing without a trace. The jury found Christian Longo guilty of murdering his entire family. Originally sentenced to death, his sentence was later commuted to life without parole in December 2022, devastating Mary Jane's family. Experts analyzing Christian's character concluded he perceived himself as extraordinarily intelligent and superior to others. He presented himself as kind and respectable. But beneath that polished exterior lay a cold, calculating heart that viewed his wife and children as nothing more than burdens, expenses he could no longer afford. And in the most chilling twist of all, he even tried to portray himself as the victim by smearing blood on his wife's collar, all in a desperate bid to live a lie. Before we wrap up, I'd love to hear what you think about today's episode. Stay tuned for the next dramatic installment. Until then, goodbye.